Hi there, Misfits. This is Kate.
And this is Kevin.
Welcome to Horrorwood. Well, here we are, Kevin.
Oh my God.
We are not in the crime closet.
We're not in the crime closet.
We are in my office, and unfortunately, it wasn't the grand reveal I wanted to give you.
That's okay because it still felt like a grand reveal, and I'm obsessed with it.
And it's not done yet. We were going to record in the closet tonight, and then we had some snafus that occurred.
It happened.
And so we are in my office. It's done enough, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see how the sound is. If we sound different, apologies. I don't have a ton of sound dampening in here. So
I love it, Kate. It is beautiful. The walls are kind of this gorgeous, is it like a sage green?
Like a sage green.
Oh, I love this color. It's so calming. It's very cozy.
Yay.
I do feel like you're far away from me, but that's good.
That's
a good
because we don't want mic bleed.
Right. Mic bleed is bad. But yeah, this is wild.
Yay. And then once I get a big ass picture right here.
Yes.
Because Matt was like, I didn't know what to do, if I want to do like a gallery wall or like one big thing. He's like, you should do one big thing and make it like a Maryland photo or something.
Or, hear me out.
Okay.
You and I dress up in like full like punk gear.
I'm already in.
And like we get a photo taken of us like flipping off a camera,
Let's do
looking
it.
tough. And it just says like Horrorwood at the bottom.
I love it.
Yes.
So once it's all said and done, like we'll do a video, we'll show all of you guys because we want you to see our new recording spot.
Studio.
Yeah, we need to figure out what this
The
is going
name
to
of
be.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the Patreons can help us.
Hey, there you go. Oh, wait, this is a regular episode, though. Anybody can help us.
Anyone can help us.
So, yeah, we're in a new environment today. And it's Thanksgiving week here in the old U.S. So, happy Thanksgiving to those who are celebrating. Be safe. If you want to be with family, be with family. If you don't.
You don't have to. If you want a turducken, where you stick a chicken inside of a duck inside of a turkey and eat that, you should do it.
Do it. Do whatever makes your heart content.
The pinata of fowl.
Gross. That's so gross.
I've always wanted to try a deep fried turkey. I think I might be doing that this year.
Are you frying it yourself?
No, God.
Okay, because that's going to catch
Death.
something on fire.
I've seen the videos of them shooting out
So
of a pot
scary.
of oil. But yeah, Spencer's friends are having a thing, so I might run
Oh,
over
fun.
there and try that.
I think I've tried fried turkey, and from what I remember, it was fine.
Fine, yeah.
I don't feel like it's worth risking your life for, but that's just me. It's just turkey.
I get it. I understand.
We are hosting Matt's family
Yes.
for Thanksgiving this week, so we have a lot of prep to do. We will see how it all goes.
How many people?
5.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
And then
shouldn't be
us.
too bad.
Not too bad.
7 people total.
Yeah. We've had both of our families here at the same time before. So actually, it should be easy peasy.
Yeah. You've done the hard thing already.
Yeah, and we're going out for the big dinner.
You're not having to cook.
No.
Where are you going?
Gibson's.
Where's that?
Where is it? I think it's in the Viagra Triangle, but I could be wrong.
Viagra Triangle.
In Chicago.
I've never heard of that.
Okay, it's pretty gross, but that's what it's called.
Why?
I think because it's like a bunch of businessmen go there.
I know.
I think
you
that's
say
it.
no more.
Okay.
I saw the picture of the exact person that's popping those Viagras.
Okay, great.
Nasty.
But Gibson's
I
is
also
like
wanna
a
go
nice,
there.
it's a nice restaurant. And they do, a special Thanksgiving
Good. Yeah.
prefix menu. So
Nice. I ordered out once from Ann Sather's. They do a turkey dinner and then they include a couple cinnamon rolls.
those cinnamon rolls to die.
I always forget about them. I think I want to get some.
I never forget about them. I think about them constantly.
All the time.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, I love it.
Well, not to bum everybody out, this is sort of a Thanksgiving episode today.
Great.
And it's only a Thanksgiving episode because it happened on Thanksgiving.
Well, of course. It's not about like a a bunch of people ate some pies and then died? Or
No, it's not that. So on Thanksgiving Day in 1923, 24-year-old actress Martha Mansfield was in San Antonio, Texas, shooting the final scenes for her upcoming film, The Warrens of Virginia.
Ooh.
It was a Civil War drama in which Martha was billed as the female lead. The cast and crew spent the daytime shooting exterior scenes, and then director Elmer Clifton said, "All right, thanks everyone. Cast, take a half-hour break while the crew sets up for the interior shots." So Martha was like, cool. I would love to sit down. I've been walking around in hoop skirts and ruffles all day.
Ugh.
Martha walked to her limousine, which her chauffeur had parked near the filming location, and sat in the back seat to relax until they needed her again on set.
Yeah.
The next scenes they were to shoot were the last they needed for the film to be complete.
Wow.
But unbeknownst to Martha, she had already shot her final scenes.
Oh, God.
She never made it back to the set that day, and less than 24 hours later, she was dead.
Holy shit.
Martha Mansfield was born Martha Sophia Ehrlich on July 14th, 1899 in New York City, honey.
New York City.
Several sources list her birthplace as Mansfield, Ohio. That is incorrect.
I was going to say, I've heard of Mansfield, Ohio.
Her maternal grandmother lived in Mansfield, Ohio, and it's why she chose Mansfield as her stage name. But she wasn't born there.
Okay, got you.
And her birth date is verified by the New York City Births Registry, but her gravestone lists her birth year as 1900, which is just kind of odd because on her birth certificate, it's 1899. So it's just like, I don't know who ordered that tombstone. Martha's parents were Maurice Ehrlich, a newspaperman from Philadelphia, and Harriet Gibson, an Irish immigrant. A few years after Martha was born, her younger sister Edith came along in 1905. However, in 1912, after several years of marriage and fathering 2 kids, Maurice just up and abandoned his family. Harriet, Martha's mom, told the New York Times, quote, "My husband deserted me in 1912, leaving me with my young daughter, Martha, who was 12 years old, and Edith, 7, and never contributed to my support. I had no independent means, and for that reason, my children and myself were reduced to the most straitened circumstances."
Bullshit. What a shitty guy. That's Viagra triangle mindset.
It is
Viagra triangle state of mind.
VTM, Viagra triangle mindset. I was trying to
make... What he did is that.
Yes. There we go. It sounds like Harriet had spent the majority of her marriage at home caring for the house and the kids while Maurice worked. So when he left, she didn't have any money coming in. So we're talking early 1900s for a woman.
Fuck.
Not a lot of job opportunities at her fingertips. This might be the impetus that led her to move with Martha and Edith to Mansfield, Ohio, where her mother lived. However, an interview Martha gave in 1921 to Lillian May for Motion Picture Magazine implies that she moved to Ohio a little earlier in her childhood because she said, quote, "I was born in New York, but that was a detail. I am from Mansfield, Ohio, lived there until I was nearly 14, and it is still home to me."
Wow.
So I'm not sure when exactly they got to Mansfield.
Okay.
But it was during her time there that it seems her interest in acting really started to develop.
Hey.
She and her friends would put on plays for their families, friends, anyone who would watch. They did a production of Robin Hood that they performed on a street that had a lot of shrubbery. Like, I think that's why they chose that street, because I think that was supposed to be Sherwood Forest. And the audience sat on folding chairs that had been set up on a tennis court. She also did a production of Romeo and Juliet, and she played Romeo.
That's very progressive.
Yes. She loved it and told her mom, "This is what I want to do. I'm going to be an actress."
Good for her.
So around age 13, Martha and her mom moved back to New York while Edith continued living in Ohio with her grandmother. I couldn't find anything that specifically stated if Martha's desire to be an actress was the reason they moved back to New York, but I do think that that's why they did.
That's probably why, yeah.
And my guess is Edith didn't want to transfer schools, get a whole new friend group, or maybe Harriet said, 2 of you is too many, and I'll just take one. I don't know.
Sure. I mean, I could see if you're living the life and you're fine with it, just staying, it should be an option.
Yeah. But Harriet was ready to put whatever energy and resources she had into helping Martha's dream become a reality.
I love it.
The only thing was, Martha had no clue how to go about getting on stage in New York. In that Motion Picture Magazine article I mentioned, she says, quote, "I had heard of Mr. Belasco," as in David Belasco of the Belasco Theater. Go listen to that episode.
I love that episode. I'm still obsessed with that apartment above the theater.
I wish I could go see it.
Go there.
And William Brady. And that was the extent of my knowledge about the theatrical business. Then she tells a story of how she met Mary Pickford, who was one of her favorite actresses.
Pickford.
She said Mary Pickford was on Broadway in the show The Littlest Rebel, but got sick. So 13-year-old Martha went to visit her in the hospital. Martha said she told Mary how she had dreams of being an actress and said that Mary told her, well, go see my manager and see if you can have my part. I might be too sick to go back, or perhaps there will be a tour of it that you can do. So Martha said she did just that. Went to Mary Pickford's manager and was like, hey, can I have her part? But she said since she didn't have any experience, they wouldn't consider her. So many things about this story make me go, what?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Number one, I don't believe for a second that Mary Pickford would be like, sure, stranger, ask my team if you can have my part. More importantly, Mary Pickford didn't do The Littlest Rebel on Broadway. It was Mary Miles' mentor.
Oh, lies.
So I'm like, was she confused? Did she get her Marys mixed up?
I think she got her Marys mixed up, or she put that together as like a thing, you know, like a little fabrication of a story.
But that's pretty easy to fact check. And I feel like this is Motion Picture Magazine. Like Mary Pickford could read that, you know? So I just wonder,
Weird.
like, what?
Or maybe Mary Pickford was playing, if it was her, which it probably wasn't, if she was like playing a little joke on her and she's like, yeah, honey.
Yeah, go
talk to my
see
agent,
if they'll
ask
give
for
you
the
my part.
and
Yeah.
see what they say.
Yeah. Or it was just a random woman in a hospital. And they were like, yeah, sure, this is Mary Pickford.
Mary Pickford's in the next bed, like with the thing pulled around and she's
listening. Also, what hospital's going to be like, sure, young girl, go right on in and see this Broadway
I think
star.
This is way before any HIPAA laws or anything. So
true, but I don't know. It's baffling.
It is baffling.
The story is odd.
I'm obsessed with it though. Ooh, I'm not wearing my shapewear.
Jiggle 'em.
My titties.
My titties.
This is a gross story, but I woke up the other day and I was getting in the shower and I saw something right here. And I was like, what the fuck? I glanced it in the mirror and I was like, did I grow an extra nipple overnight?
Like a nubbin?
Yeah, but it was like a pimple.
Oh.
A big one, like a boil. I was like, this is a third titty. And
Yikes.
I got in the shower and luckily it,
squirted out?
Came out, but.
Ew. You're one of those like pimple popper
I
watchers,
love
aren't you?
Pimple popping.
Oh my God. Matt is the same way.
I love it.
Yuck.
To all my pimple popper freaks out there, it was kind of dried, like the little plug on the top, and then you squeeze it and it goes, and then it shot out the stuff.
I am so disgusted.
I have no shame about it.
You shouldn't.
It's a bodily issue
that you find fascinating.
That I love. I text my friend Chelsea afterwards because she's the same, and she's like, amazing.
Oh my God. I'm going to throw up. Back to Martha.
I'm so sorry. Continue, please.
Martha said it was that experience of talking to Mary Pickford, quote unquote, that inspired her to try and get a role in the upcoming stage version of Little Women. Martha found out that the book was being turned into a play, and William Brady, like the one person that she'd heard of in the theatrical business, was producing and working on casting. So Martha said she went to Brady's office and managed to speak with an assistant. And the assistant asked, what do you want, little girl? And she said, I want to play Beth in Little Women. She's like 13, just walking into these places.
I mean, I kind of applaud it.
And I think her mom was, behind it too. Just like, okay, yeah, let's just go. Let's just see.
She's like, just go in there and tell them what you want.
What you really, really want.
A zig-a-zig-ah.
It really, I think, shows her naivete, though, that she thought that's all you have to do. Just walk into the office for whatever show you want and just let them know you'd like a part.
I don't know if you ever experienced this, but like making my decision to work like in the like performing arts industry.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people I found, you know, like my mom, for instance, or my dad, or just family members have no idea about
Sure.
it. And so to them, it's like easy.
Right.
And you just immediately go and you do it, and then you're doing it.
Who's directing? Oh, just apply. Just, write him a
Just apply,
letter.
like, just go and do it. Like, what's the holdup? And I'm like,
right.
it really doesn't work like that.
Yeah. It
really doesn't work like that.
Really doesn't.
Because like when I finished my master's, my mom's like, "When are you gonna be like an artistic director or like a?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
So Brady's assistant looked at Martha and was like, "Yeah, I think we've got everyone that we need for it. Thanks." But Martha was not deterred. The following year, in 1913, when she was just 14 years old, she got a small role in the musical Hop on My Thumb on Broadway. And she played a boy. Very small role, but she was on Broadway.
Hop on my thumb.
Hop on My Thumb. It's like an Irish melodrama slash musical.
Oh, gotcha.
And despite it being a musical, she said she couldn't sing or dance very well, but she was ecstatic to be in a Broadway show.
Hey, I get it.
And from that moment on, she said the stage never lost its thrill. She was hooked.
Thrilling.
And of course, all the while, it's her mom who's making sure she gets to auditions and rehearsals and is basically acting as her manager when she was starting out.
Yeah.
Harriet gave everything she had so Martha could succeed.
I was going to say, how are they affording this?
I don't know how many jobs Harriet was working because
She
Martha
had to be doing a ton of stuff.
Yeah. I think, number one, she's only supporting the one kid now, so that helps.
Of course.
But I don't know what work she was getting, if she was like cleaning houses or, what she was doing.
Maybe she got some money from her mom, or maybe she saved
Very
up
possible.
some when they lived in Ohio.
It's very possible.
Okay.
Soon, Martha landed a part in a review at New York City's Winter Garden, and she began building a nice little resume for herself.
Here she comes.
Walking down the street. I thought you were going to sing with me, and then you didn't.
What's that song? Here she comes. Oh, here
Getting
she comes.
funny red looks from everyone we meet.
Okay.
Hey, we're the monkeys.
The monkeys.
Wow.
Got a monkey around. Is that the words?
Yeah. Martha was mostly cast in musical revues like The Century Girl in 1916, which was a mixture of musical and vaudeville performances. And one of the producers of The Century Girl was Mr. Florence Ziegfeld Jr.,
Shite.
who was already famous for his Follies show. The New York Times described The Century Girl as a much magnified Follies. It was a huge spectacle. Everyone who was anyone attended opening night. Martha had a small role, but she made some fruitful connections within the production. She befriended actress Hazel Dawn, who was one of the leads. And that same year, French comic Max Linder came to the U.S. and signed with S&A Studios here in Chicago.
Oh.
Charlie Chaplin had just left the company, and Max was meant to be his replacement.
Got it.
He was slated to make a series of short films and wanted Hazel to star in them. And he was like, Hazel, darling, come be in my movies. Only he said it in French. But Hazel was under contract for other projects. She said, sorry, Max, no can do, but my friend Martha Ehrlich might be the right fit. You should check her out.
Wow.
I read that Martha did still have to audition. There were 100 women that tried out for the part, but Max chose Martha. So at the end of 1916 into 1917, after The Century Girl closed, 17-year-old Martha took the train from New York to Chicago to shoot her film debut, Max Comes Across, followed by 2 other Max Linder films that same year. These were all short films. I mean, back then, they're cranking them out.
Silent.
Being that this was during World War I, and it wasn't a super great time to have a German name in America, she Americanized it to Martha Ehrlich for the credits, because Ehrlich is German.
Well, I bet the mom at this time is probably getting good work during World War I.
Good point.
Because men, like that, those were times when women had to step up into the workforce.
Good points, yes.
Okay, got it.
And I'm guessing it was during this time in Chicago that she met her future husband, Caspar George Schmidt. Caspar was from Chicago and was 2 years older than Martha, and I couldn't find much about the relationship except they did marry on May 1st, 1918. They had a summer home in Twin Lakes, Wisconsin, so they would spend several weeks during the summer there. And he also accompanied her when she visited her sister and grandmother in Mansfield, Ohio. So that's really all I know about their relationship.
Sure. I love the name Casper.
Casper. And it's spelled, well, there's two different spellings, Kaspar or Kasper, but it's with a K.
Oh, it's with a K. Casper.
Casper.
Not Casper the Friendly Ghost.
But I do love Casper the Friendly Ghost.
I love Casper
I loved the cartoon. I loved the movie.
Yep.
Yes.
I kind of want to go back and watch that.
For spooky season, it was a good one for that time of year.
Listen,
but you know what?
I'm coming to terms with the fact that I can still love something all year round.
Of course.
Engage with it. But society tells us we shouldn't.
Fuck society. I go hard spooky season, super into it. The second it's over, give me holidays. I am ready.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I love the holidays. But let's just always keep a little bit of spooky season.
Why not?
In the twinkles in our eyes.
I mean, I have my skeleton with the air plant up there on the bookshelf.
Love it. Also, your shadow was amazing in the background. Like,
oh,
there's
really?
a shadow of you, and every time you move, it's just like...
I'm just like gesticulating wildly. So her and Casper are having their relationship, their romance. But by 1920... Martha was single again and living back with her mom. So we don't know what really happened between the two of them, but her career was taking off. It really ramped up right at the start of their relationship. And of course, that required her to travel. So I think that might have been a factor. Casper continued living in Chicago and did eventually remarry, but passed away at the age of 34 from heart disease.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But in 1917, 1918, this is when Martha's entire life began to pop off. She's on Broadway, she's in film, she's getting married, and she's becoming a popular cover girl for magazines and posters. There was about a year's time during her teens where all she did was model. She became a favorite of photographer Alfred Cheney Johnston, who described her as, quote, a fragile flower. Which sounds like one of the worst insults you could throw at a young woman.
I fucking hate that. That's the equivalent of like, pretty girls should always smile.
It's the
She's
worst.
a lovely flower.
But he also called her the most beautiful girl in New York. She was 5'4" with reddish gold hair and deep blue eyes. It's giving Olive Thomas a bit. If you remember back to that episode, she was also called the most beautiful girl in New York at one point, as well as in the world. Olive was about 5 years older than Martha, and her career started a little earlier, but there are a lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah.
Their careers and lives have a similar trajectory, and both died young.
God.
Although her looks got her a lot of work, Martha hated modeling. She said, quote, it was so inactive and did not call for the use of one's facilities. I wanted to be more than a mere doll.
I like that.
Me too. She said posing for photographers was the hardest work in the world and super boring. So when Flo Ziegfeld cast her as one of his Follies girls in 1918, she was ecstatic.
I love it. I also love that she's like, getting your picture taken sucks. But then also, have you seen the videos of Chapel Roan like going in on photographers on red carpets?
Well, I've seen one.
Yeah, she like she's like, you, and she like walks to him, and she's
Yeah,
like,
I've seen that one.
Do not treat me like that.
Yeah.
I love her so much.
She had caught his eye in The Century Girl a couple of years prior because he was producing that.
Yeah.
And she was really starting to make a name for herself. She later said Follies was the best stage work she'd ever done.
Wow.
But again, it's a review. It's not exactly giving her an opportunity to hone the craft of acting, which is what she really wanted.
Right. Like she's getting bit parts, but it's like, when does it become my time to actually
shine
and also like put more into something that she knows she has?
Well, her main thing was she just wanted to be a speaking actress.
Yeah.
Because the films were silent. The shows she was doing on stage she's mainly like dancing and singing along, but she's not performing a role,
like
character.
A role with dialogue and depth.
All she ever wanted was to be a speaking actress.
Oh.
That same year, Martha made her first feature film called Broadway Bill, where she played the love interest. And at this point, she decided she wanted to change her name again. I think she just wanted something that had more meaning for her. So she chose Mansfield after Mansfield, Ohio, where she spent a lot of time as a kid. Martha would go from working at the studio during the day on Broadway Bill to the theater at night for Follies, get home late, sleep a little, get up, do it all again.
Shit, that's a busy schedule.
When the film came out, Variety magazine wasn't all that impressed with her.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
They said she, quote, had little to do except to pose in some wasted scenes. Her hardest work seemed to be an effort to maintain the position until the camera clicked off. It did seem like she viewed acting on film as being similar to modeling because, again, silent films, it's all about telling the story through your facial expressions and emotions. And since there was no speaking, I think she felt like she was just posing. And she said acting on film was hard work. She much preferred the stage.
Yeah, I guess because she hasn't had the opportunity to like do the thing that she really wants to do, and then to try to translate it into a medium that it would probably work better if she had more experience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think she also was very green still. And so I think...
Exactly. So not having that sort of like the theatrical experience of like of expression that the level of expression that she's looking for, I can see where maybe it doesn't translate very well.
Despite saying that she much preferred the stage, in early 1919, she announced she was abandoning the stage. She said, "Goodbye, theater. I'm only doing movies from now on. Have your people call my people."
Whoa.
She had been cast in the film The Perfect Lover, starring Eugene O'Brien, who was a screen idol at the time.
Wow.
But Ziegfeld, he has a hard time letting his girls go.
I remember this guy.
Yes. He said, "Martha, please come back. I'm doing a new show called The Midnight Frolic. It's like the Follies, but at midnight." So she returned to the stage to dance on the roof of the New Amsterdam Theater in The Midnight Frolic. And we talked about the Frolic in the Olive Thomas episode.
I was going to say, this is sounding very familiar. Did Olive Thomas do that show too?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
It's the one where they would give everybody hammers.
Yes. That's insane. This guy was crazy.
The Frolic opened in October of 1919, but Martha's time in it was short-lived because late that year, none other than John Barrymore selected her to play his fiancé in his upcoming movie, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Holy fuck.
She was just 20 years old.
That's a big deal.
Yes. It was her breakout role and the one for which she is most remembered. And which studio produced it? I put this in just for you.
Universal.
No.
Oh, really? MGM?
No. I put this in just for you.
Oh my God. Famous Players Lasky.
Yep, you got it.
I'm sorry.
Later known as Paramount.
I forgot the old names of the studios momentarily. I apologize.
It's your favorite one, so I just had to add that in.
I love Famous Players Lasky.
Martha said she was scared to death to play opposite John Barrymore because he's a pretty big deal and she's just coming up, but that he was actually lovely, and it was only when he was in his Mr. Hyde makeup that she was like, ah!
I bet he looks scary.
Have you seen that version?
I haven't.
Okay, I watched it today.
Did you? Is
it good? Some will say it's the best version because there's literally like 123 versions of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Some say it's the best one. However, Frederick March did it like a decade later and he won the Oscar for it. So that one is also regarded as the top. So who knows? You watch them both and make your own decision.
Go back and watch. Yeah. I love it.
The film was shot entirely on a soundstage in New York. And for the final scenes where Hyde kills Jekyll, Martha wanted a specific kind of hat to wear. So she went all over New York trying to find what she wanted. And finally, she wanders into the shop on Broadway and spots it. It was in a case and she wanted to try it on. So she's like, "Hey, can I see that hat?" The sales lady smiled, and instead of grabbing the hat Martha had asked for, she brought out a different one and said, quote, "Try this on, Miss Mansfield. It's more like the type you wear on the roof," referring to her role in The Frolic.
The Frolic.
And Martha said, "But I don't want that kind. I have been uptown and downtown and all over town trying to find a very small hat, flat so, with a feather so. I want it for a picture, an ingenue part. I'm not on the roof anymore."
I love her. She is so sassy, and I can see her in that, like, I don't want anything, so don't tell me I don't.
You could have just said the
I
actual
know,
words.
but I forgot what the words were immediately after you said them.
Amazing. So she was definitely trying to distance herself from being a chorus girl and wanted to be thought of as a legit actress.
Yes.
And she did get that hat, and she does wear it in the final scenes of the film.
Ooh.
Martha called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde the most worthwhile thing she ever did. She won rave reviews for her underplayed performance, and she said she was actually just scared to make the most out of her role because she was worried she would overdo it and that her performance would come off as ridiculous. She said, quote, "I played safe, knowing it was one of the times when it was better to underact than overact." And it worked.
Hey, fair enough.
Her popularity grew even more once the film was released, and Players Lasky hired her again that same year for a role opposite Thomas Megan, another Hollywood big shot of the time.
Yeah.
This meant Martha would be leaving New York and heading to LA. It was the spring of 1920, and her mom Harriet accompanied her. The two of them absolutely loved California. Look at the sunshine. Look at the beaches. They were like, this is living. They moved into a cute little bungalow that they rented, went furniture shopping, made a nice little home for themselves. Martha loved working on this film, and it was a meatier role than what she usually played. The film was called Civilian Clothes, and in it, she wasn't the withering ingenue. She was this worldly, intelligent woman. She and Harriet were like, yeah, we could get used to the West Coast.
Hey.
But then, just 6 weeks after arriving in LA, they had to move back to New York.
Why?
Because Martha was offered an exclusive contract with Selznick Pictures.
Oh, shit.
In an interview, she expressed just how happy she was to be signed to a contract, because before she's just kind of freelancing.
I was going to say, because it doesn't sound like Famous Players Lasky contracted her for multiple pictures, which they were doing with other people at the time.
She said, quote, "I mean to work very, very hard this year, make the very most of every chance, and get a great deal of experience. And next year, perhaps I'll be a star." Didn't quite work out that way.
Sure.
Louis J. Selznick signed Martha with the intent of making her the next Olive Thomas. Just 3 months later, Olive Thomas died.
God.
The media speculated that after Olive's death, Martha would naturally become the next big star.
Yeah.
She appeared in 4 films for Selznick, but after about a year, he lost interest in trying to mold her career.
What a jerk.
He began loaning her out to smaller, like obscure studios that you've never heard of.
Oh, honey.
And she was playing these very minor roles in like indie films. So for a couple of years, things were pretty lackluster. She actually took a break from film to go do vaudeville for a year. And in 1923, she was finally released from her contract at Selznick.
Thank God.
And immediately, the Fox Film Corporation snatched her up, signing her to a long-term contract.
Hey.
She was like, ah, yeah.
I made it.
Her first film under contract with them was a small supporting role in the film The Silent Command, which also starred Bela Lugosi.
Oh, Bella.
Wow.
My horror icon.
You got very excited.
Wow. I'm starstruck.
Wow.
Silently, of course. Because
Amazing. Because, we're not to the talkies yet. Variety magazine praised her performance this time. They weren't that impressed with her at the beginning of her career, but they thought she handled this role well. Okay. And by the fall of that year, Martha was cast as the female lead in The Warrens of Virginia.
This is the movie.
This is the movie. People in the industry predicted this was going to be the film that catapulted Martha into the next level of stardom.
Yeah.
It was a Civil War drama that had Martha playing a woman of the Confederacy who's engaged to a lieutenant in the Union Army.
Whoa.
Scandal.
Scandalous.
Played by Wilfrid Lytell. He was the lieutenant. Filming began at the Fox Studios in Hollywood and then moved to San Antonio in mid-November for the location scenes. November 29th was Thanksgiving Day, and the cast and crew woke up at the luxurious St. Anthony Hotel and headed to the dining room for breakfast. But the main thing on Martha's mind that morning wasn't her role in the movie. It was the fact that in her hotel room was a brand new radio. She was thrilled.
I love it.
She'd been listening to it the evening before and told the cast and crew at breakfast, quote, "Why, it's simply wonderful. Last night I heard Chicago and Cincinnati, and tonight I'm sure I'll be able to get Philadelphia and New York." She said, quote, "You know, it seemed almost as good as seeing Mother to think that probably she was listening in on just the same thing I was."
Oh.
Harriet had stayed back in New York, and I think Martha was probably missing her, especially around the holidays.
Well, they've been together for so long and like doing all this stuff together.
So she told the group, "I promise to have everyone up to my room tonight for a radio party."
Oh my God, a radio party.
A radio party. She was going to host a little Thanksgiving party, which would also be their wrap party since it was the last day of shooting. After breakfast, the cast and crew traveled to the set, which was about 3 miles away at the end of Brackenridge Park. The morning proceeded as planned. They shot the exterior scenes they needed to get, and then director Elmer Clifton called for a 30-minute break while the crew set up the interior shots.
Okay.
As I mentioned at the top of the episode, this is when Martha walked toward her limousine.
To take a break.
Yes. Her chauffeur was waiting there. She sat in the back seat to rest. A few minutes later, cast and crew members heard blood-curdling screams coming from Martha's direction. And when they went to see what was going on, they saw Martha running from her vehicle, engulfed in flames.
Oh my God.
Her multi-layered Civil War costume with lace and billowing hoop skirts and ruffles was enveloped in fire. Those who happened to be passing by at the time the incident occurred reported seeing the flame of a match through the window of Martha's car. Others said they saw someone toss a lit match and it happened to go through the window of the car, causing the dress to catch fire. Her co-star Wilfred Lytell was the first to get to her, and he immediately threw his heavy overcoat on her to extinguish the flames. Others joined in, including her chauffeur, who suffered burns to his hands trying to help. Together, they were able to extinguish the flames, and it was just a short ride to the hospital. Martha was conscious and told those who rode with her to the hospital that she wasn't in serious pain, but she was worried about her looks because that was her moneymaker, and she was worried that she was burned. And she asked, "Are you sure my face is not harmed? Won't my cheeks and neck be scarred forever?" But Thomas had actually managed to smother the flames around her face pretty quickly, so it wasn't too bad. And she's talking, so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
When she arrived at the hospital, physicians said her injuries were serious but not life-threatening, which had everyone breathing a sigh of relief.
Yeah, my God.
That evening, the director, Elmer Clifton, gave an update to the cast and crew telling them that Martha was going to be okay. But she was not okay. During the night, Martha's condition worsened, and just before noon the next morning, she succumbed to her injuries. She was 24 years old.
Those must have been some really bad burns.
She was burned over most of her body.
Oh my God.
Her death certificate states she died from burns of all extremities, general toxemia, and suppression of urine. When you have severe burns, the immune system goes into overdrive, leading to inflammation, which can cause a whole host of problems.
I never even considered that. Mm-hmm. Oh my fucking God.
And those wounds can become infected. So all of that combined leads to the toxemia, which can lead to organ dysfunction, like kidney damage, hence the suppression of urine.
Well, and we're talking early 1920s medicine.
Yeah, I don't know if they really knew what was going down.
On, right.
Needless to say, the cast and crew were shocked when they heard the news. They thought she was going to be fine.
Poor baby. That sucks.
Her death was ruled an accident, and the general theory is that someone was lighting a cigarette with a match that they then tossed, and it happened to make contact with Martha's dress. But no one ever came forward to say they had been the one that tossed the match. It was theorized that perhaps maybe Martha herself had lit the match in the car to have a smoke break. But Harriet was quick to dispel that, stating, quote, "Martha often told me that smoking made her very uncomfortable and that she really didn't care for it. In fact, she seldom used cigarettes except when they were called for in a picture, and even then they made her feel ill." She was like, no, she did not have a smoke break, in the middle of shooting.
Did her character in the movie smoke?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think they would have put 2 and 2 together if that had been the case.
Sure.
I also feel like if it had been her, she maybe would have mentioned that on the way to the hospital. Like, I can't believe this. I dropped the match or something. Who knows? Some believe it was likely a member of the cast or crew who lit a cigarette while they were taking that 30-minute break and then just carelessly tossed the match.
Sure.
Could it have been the chauffeur? Did he open the car door for her, then light a cigarette, drop the match that happened to land on her dress because it was so voluminous? We'll never know. Martha's body was transported back to New York for the funeral and burial. Thousands showed up for the service at Campbell's funeral home. Samuel Goldwyn, the G of MGM, and David O. Selznick, son of Louis Selznick, were among the pallbearers. John Barrymore, Gloria Swanson, several of the Follies girls, as well as Martha's co-stars were all in attendance. The inside of the chapel could only fit about 1,000 people. Mm-hmm. There were another 5,000 waiting outside just to catch a glimpse of the casket as it was carried out.
Wow.
She's buried in the Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx. And unfortunately, her role in the Warrens of Virginia was edited down significantly after her death, and her co-star Rosemary Hill was promoted as the female lead. So that's just kind of a shitty thing.
That sucks.
Everything in Martha's estate went to her mother, Harriet.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to watch Martha in her most memorable film role, you can watch the 1920 version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on Prime, like I did today.
I will.
Good. And then compare it to the next version and the next one and the next one, because there's dozens.
Oh my God, there's so many of the versions of that. Whoa.
Yeah.
That is so tragic.
It's so sad.
It doesn't sound like it was nefarious.
I don't think so. There was a theory that was someone like out to
get her.
But no. I mean, they were like, no one's out to get her.
So it was just a freak accident.
Yeah, and the only people that were in this area were the production crew.
Right.
The
and
cast and crew.
Everybody's smoking at this time. Like, so many people are smoking. So it was just a freak out. It sounds to me like it was just a freak accident. And that is so tragic.
Yeah.
Oh, Kate, that makes me so sad.
It's awful. I mean, you just think about how many layers she was wearing and all.
And even try to get that off.
Yeah, the
like,
big Civil War costumes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awful.
So, happy Thanksgiving. Let us know your thoughts on this episode.
I'm
Kevin
sorry, just the pivot.
I just wanted to see what your reaction would
Happy
be.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Enjoy your pumpkin pie.
Yes.
Careful around cooking flames.
Oh my God, careful around everything. Trust no one. That has nothing to do with this episode, but just like a good motto to live by. And
trust no one. Eat your pie by yourself.
Oh, I just
This episode has turned into a comedy of errors.
Yikes.
Are you okay, though? You bumped your nose pretty hard.
Well, it's just on, like, the thingamajig. We're still figuring out this whole office setup. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
And you can let us know your comments on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Spotify at
Horrorwood Podcast.
And don't forget to
rate, review, and subscribe.
We haven't said that one in a while.
We actually have not said that in a while. Please do it.
And you can send us an email at
horrorwoodpodcast@gmail.com.
Or pop on over to Patreon
we have some great Patreon stuff going on, y'all. So patreon.com/horrorwood.
And Patronians, we are going to get you 2 episodes this month. It's been a little cray-cray, but they're coming. Ramping back up. Yeah. So look out for
We're
those.
Actually recording one tonight.
We sure are, in approximately 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
All right, that's that.
Bye-bye.
And that's that on that.
That.
Gobble, gobble.